Welcome back to Monday night, April 20th, 1998. What's the fallout from Dude Love attacking a one-armed Stone Cold Steve Austin a week ago? How does Vince McMahon feel about Dude Love interacting in his business? Also, The Undertaker will respond to Paul Bear's threats about meeting him at the gravesite of his parents. Will Kane be there? How do they interact? Also, it's the go-home show for Unforgiven 1998. Go ahead and light the pyro. Welcome back to Monday night, April 20th, 1998. It is the go-home show before In Your House Unforgiven. We got a lot building up to this one, Mike. We've got Dude Love attacking Stone Cold Steve Austin last week. We've got Kane threatening to show up at the gravesite of The Undertaker and his parents and having it out in front of the graveyard. This is going to be an awesome show.
Yeah, we have a lot to look forward to. I mean, we're really in the groundswell of the Attitude Era. There's a lot of things that really come to light on that tonight, especially with the Kane Undertaker feud we see later on in the show. The Stone Cold Vince feud is at an all-time high when it comes to popularity. So it's all there for tonight here in Long Island, home of Dude Love.
Yeah, and not really a hometown reaction for Dude Love. He's going to open up the show after the initial open, the pyro lights. And then Kevin Kelly is standing outside of the graveyard, the home of The Undertaker. His parents and Kane's parents. This doesn't make sense for a lot of reasons because they would have been buried at the funeral home where they were lived at and it burned down, but the graveyard would have burned it. Like, there's just a lot that doesn't make sense about this. Regardless, Kevin Kelly lets us know that he is on site and he is awaiting the arrival of The Undertaker because Kane and Paul Bear have already been spotted, and that's important to note. But obviously – this is the first pay-per-view with Stone Cold Steve Austin as the champion post-WrestleMania. But that kind of almost feels like a back burner. And the Inferno match coming up between Kane and The Undertaker kind of feels like the main event to some degree.
Yeah, I mean, it's a match that we haven't seen before. They as hokey as some of the feud has been, the fans have been all invested in this Undertaker-Kane feud. So, I mean, in a lot of ways, that has been viewed as the money match for the show.
Well, Kevin Kelly tells us he'll let us know when The Undertaker arrives. And then we open up with the Love Shack. Dude Love comes out in a chorus of boos, showers Mick Foley here in his hometown. But he's talking about bringing funk and jive back to the WWE. And there's beads in front of the entranceway. And there's inflatable blow-up chairs and peace signs everywhere.
Those chairs were like the prize for every fundraiser in school, I swear to God.
Right, good call. But he doesn't get very far into his shtick before Vince McMahon kind of barrels through those beads and interrupts the Love Shack. And Dude Love tells him, Vince McMahon tells him that Dude Love can't interfere in Vince McMahon's business, and he had the opportunity to humiliate Stone Cold Steve Austin last week. And he fines Dude $5,000, which Mick doesn't look too happy about, for interfering. And I like this because it's still teasing that Vince McMahon is his own entity and there isn't bodies for hire yet. And it's just, I think this is a really cool storyline.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thrown off. For some reason, I just thought it was apparent that Dude was with McMahon. I didn't know that they were teasing on this. So I was kind of lost on that aspect, but I kind of got back on track with him, but I'm like, oh, all right. I mean, see where we're at here. I mean, but yeah, $5,000 fine. I bet you that would have been something that Batista would have enjoyed instead of that $100,000 fine that he got for blading back.
Probably would have still been in the company. Right. But Vince walks away, and Dude says letters have been pouring in asking why he got into it with Stone Cold last week, and he says what he said last week is that all he was trying to do is interject some peace and love and understanding. He asked why his former tag team partner The man he carried for months. Keep in mind, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Dude Love were tag team champions no less than 8 months ago. It would hit him from behind and do what he called unheard of at the time. Mick says the answer is the root of all evil. It's the chicks. He was attracting the attention of blondes, brunettes, and redheads, and big and busty, while Stone Cold Steve Austin was getting the attention of former housewives with hair on their up lip, and he's sure the ladies of Long Island knows what he's talking about. So, like, there's the heel turn of it all, obviously, Mick Foley, but this just feels really, really forced, man.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, I really want this segment to wrap up because I don't know, like Mick is, notoriously good on the mic, but it just wasn't connecting with me. And I mean, especially with his hometown crowd, that he kind of has the favor on.
Nobody wants to get booed in their hometown.
Yeah, he's getting nothing here.
Dude tells us we don't have to wait till Unforgiven. He will forget about being the number one contender, which is really interesting. If Austin by the end of the night comes out and grovels on his knees, but if Austin doesn't, it's going to be a long night at Unforgiven. So we know the Rattlesnake's not coming out here and begging for anything.
And JR even said it on commentary, like, "Oh, we know that's not going to happen." It's like, yeah, I mean, pretty much, but we'll see what Austin has in store for Dude Love here tonight.
Dude Love will face Steve Blackman in the main event tonight. He mentioned he knows he could take Stone Cold Steve Austin, but he never thought it would be this easy. And that's the end of the opening segment for Dude Love. Is just kind of a little cheap shot to the Rattlesnake on the way out the door.
Well, yeah, and you got to think too. I mean, this feud has only gotten 2 weeks of build before the pay-per-view, so they're trying to cram a lot in here.
Michael Cole tells us that Stone Cold Steve Austin is on his way to the building. He was accidentally sent to a bar mitzvah by Vince McMahon, but he plans on getting his hands on Vince by the end of the night. And this is more of a putting the fish hook out there that Stone Cold Steve Austin's going to be here, and you don't want to turn the channel.
Yep, and they hit that point home every chance they get throughout this show. Like Stone Cold's a talking point feels like at least within every 5 minutes.
Yeah, and he probably should be at this point. We're going to get a 6-man tag at Unforgiven with Farouk, Steve Blackman, and Ken Shamrock versus D'Lo, Mark Henry, and The Rock. So we're going to get Farouk versus Kama in a street fight. So Farouk has the ability to get his hands on all of the members of the Nation. And this is we talked about it, the debut of the new Nation music last week, but this is the first iteration where it kind of, you got to remember, everybody in the Nation at this point had this iteration with their own theme song mixed into it. And it's really one of Jim Johnson's best. Go back and take a listen to it if you haven't heard it. But this is a Long Island street fight, which they do in Long Island all the time. But the Nation comes out through the crowd here, and we come back from break, and Farouk is in the ring. The Nation is being escorted up the ramp by Sergeant Slaughter and crew. Ken Shamrock and Steve Blackman are backstage being pulled apart. And I kind of like this approach because it was like, all right, there might actually be something here. It's not going to just be a schmoz finish.
Yeah, and that's what my first thought was, like, how are you going to have a street fight, have them all come out and not just immediately go to why don't everybody just attack Farouk here and be done with it? But, especially with Sarge being out there, keeping everyone separated. Yeah, that's it. It was all right. Kama and or Charles Wright as his proper name is.
Yeah.
But and Farouk had a pretty
Chonko to you, buddy.
Yeah, that's right. Godfather, good father. They had a pretty stiff match up here, and it was all right. Nothing to write home about. But
in the first 3 minutes of this match, Kama gets hit in the face with a hammer and a beer keg, and neither one of those things is the finish of this. After Farouk hits Kama with that beer keg right in the face, Farouk fires up the crowd, which was so weird to see. He goes over and poses to the crowd and gets a pretty good pop, but seeing him as a babyface was just weird, man.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of theme music, his was on a different level of weird.
Yeah. it was his old Spartacus music.
Oh God.
So Farouk has broken ribs here from the beatdown a couple of weeks ago, and Kama hits him in the ribs with that same hammer from the beginning of the match. That doesn't end it either. The crowd is so hot for this, though, man. They listen. They're all over the Rock here, but they're and listen. No offense to Charles Wright or Ron Simmons, I mean, nobody's going to confuse them for cruiserweights and guys that are going to pull off high spots, but they are here to see this beatdown. Like, they just want to see big guys just laying into each other, and that's exactly what they get here.
Right, and I don't know what we settled on for meat and potatoes of the week, but
It's coming.
Boot, they had to say that boot shot from Farouk to Kama was pretty wicked.
WCW clearly could tell what they have in The Rock, by the way, on the other channel, because the counter to this is Goldberg winning his first individual championship, by the way. So they're trying to, like, wherever DX, The Rock, or Stone Cold is, they're trying to counter. That's what's happening on the other channel right now. But Kama goes to grab that same hammer again from the beginning of the match. But Farouk pulls off his boot, as you just mentioned, and whacks Kama for our meat and potatoes of the night. But I just want to point this out. Loaded boot, beer keg, hammer shots don't end the match. A spine buster is what gets us to the end of this, and Farouk picks up the win. But I mean, it was a nice. I guess we're saying goodbye to Farouk taking on the Nation after this, but I mean, it just kind of felt like a filler at some point. It was a good match though.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like it's kind of sad that we didn't really get like the button of The Rock and Farouk on that whole feud, but it is what it is. And the match was really hard hitting and stiff. But you know, I was okay with everything.
We got a break, come back, and DX is watching footage from 2 weeks ago themselves urinating on DOA's motorcycles. And Billy Gunn points out that Triple H did not participate. And Billy Gunn says that Triple H should pull out his big bazooka and give the crowd a golden shower. We go to break, and DX is coming out, and X-Pac fires up the crowd. And listen, Sean Waltman gets a really good pop here. Like, people are really excited about Sean Waltman being back on WWE TV and the X-Pac character. But
hey, when I was a kid, he was in my top like 3 favorites. Like he was. There was something about him, man.
Hunter does his best Dr. Seuss impersonation and says that the DOA wrote into Raw on brass, but left with their heads shoved up their ass. Which, okay, he's clearly got something stored under his pea. He's wearing a woman's pea coat, by the way, also here, and he's clearly got something shoved in the front pocket.
Mm-hmm.
But we also get the ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages shtick from Road Dogg, who gets booed here. Crowd cheers Triple H. Crowd cheers X-Pac, but they boo the New Age Outlaws, which just goes to show you the work that Billy and Dog put in before they joined DX was really, really working. Because even though DX is getting love here, the Outlaws are still getting booed.
Yes, they did a lot to the tag division that they wanted to see them get their come up, and it doesn't seem like they've gotten that all the way yet. But yeah, Triple H and X-Pac are getting huge reactions.
They addressed their opponents at Unforgiven, the LOD. So I don't understand what the point of them addressing DOA backstage was, because that doesn't even get addressed here. Yeah. But they talk about how the Outlaws are going to take on Legion of Doom at Unforgiven. And then Hunter grabs the mic and tells us that China is going to be in a shark cage above the ring for his match against Owen Hart. And I like, cool. Like it's a unique concept that we haven't really seen a ton. But he also just like takes a random shot at Sunny here, because obviously she's with the LOD, and starts it says she hates being called a skank. So naturally he starts leading the Long Island crowd in a skanky chant.
I wonder if that had some personal feelings behind that.
Sure, that's where I was going with. I was about to ask. This kind of felt like just another Sunny Days poke, maybe. Yeah. Just kind of felt like it was right in the wheelhouse.
Yeah, and never to miss a shot. That was, and it wasn't even that clever. That skanky Sunny. I don't know.
Well, it also just kind of felt like a direct ripoff of when Sean called that chick a skank like 4 weeks ago on Raw too. But they're hemming and hawing, ha-ha'ing it up. And Billy tells Hunter that, hey, you still got to pull out the super soaker and address the crowd, because he mentioned the golden shower thing and backstage. And they all kind of huddle around Hunter. And I was like, what? Like, they're clearly up to something. What is this going to be? And then this giant stream of water shoots out of Hunter's coat, and he's got a large squirt foam cannon thing against the crowd. I thought this was going to piss people off. The crowd absolutely ate this up.
Oh, anything crowd involvement back then, they loved. But like, I'm sitting here thinking, like, with 2026 goggles on, it's like, Oh man, and Road Dogg right before when I said, "Here comes the money shot," it's like, oh, that's cool. He's ejaculated on the crowd.
Yeah, not a great look. Like you're also stealing Val Venus's gimmick a little bit. He's not even here yet. But it was bad timing because the crowd's eating it up, and then LOD and Owen Hart come out, and they start walking to the ring saying they can walk the walk and talk the talk. But Sergeant Slaughter comes down and makes a 6-man tag tonight for LOD and Owen Hart versus 3 members of DX, and Hunter accepts. And it just kind of felt like they needed to do this to help to build to both matches for the pay-per-view.
Yeah, but I don't know. It to me it made Owen Hart and LOD just
They look like
so
idiots.
weak. Yeah. And man, this whole segment, like I don't know if Triple H was like trying to influence his way to be in more the tweener phase, or maybe it was just a natural reaction. But like they're not like Triple H, but anyways, is not acting very cowardly or anything. That he's being very brave. Like calling him on, like, you want to fight? Let's go. It's like,
yeah, and it was very much what Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were doing on the other channel. It's kind of what Sean was doing before he left as well, and being the cool non-chicken shit heel. Which it sucks for a couple reasons, because he's gotten every win over Owen Hart up until this point. The only time that Owen beat Hunter is when he beat Goldust, who was dressed as Hunter. So Owen literally has not gotten his comeuppance yet.
Right, and it's just in this kind of like acting
also,
of
don't hold your breath for that to happen either.
Still waiting, man.
But, 2025, 2026.
But it was still a okay segment, but it just, to me, all the baby faces dead in the water here.
We cut to a commercial break, and we come back, and Kevin Kelly reminds us, lets us know that the Undertaker is a few minutes away from the cemetery. And he says that when the Undertaker arrives, all hell would break loose, and then he would let us know. But we go back to the ring, and the Headbangers are in the ring, because Dan Severn and Mosh are going to be in a match here. And Mike, if you'd have told me at the beginning of Analyzing Attitude that I was going to be blown away by a Dan Severn and Mosh match, I would have told you were high off your ass. This was notable for all the wrong reasons. Jim Cornette and Dan Severn come out, and they're draped in the gold that all the belts that Dan Severn currently has. And Corny looks into the camera and says, "This is what a champion looks like. Read it and weep." But the match starts, and Severn gets some Greco-Roman throws in, and starts slapping Mosh in the back of the head. And Mosh actually gets a legit double leg takedown in and sprawls all over Severn, and then goes over to Thrasher and says, "Oh, he didn't know." This seemed like a legit pissed off Dan Severn after this, because it kind of looks like he's shot on the beast.
Oh man, and like the throws after the takedown, man, it looked aggressive and painful. Oh my god. And man, the comparison I'm about to give you right now, you might think I'm crazy, but I was like, his presentation right now is like a Gunther with a porn stash.
Yeah, it's pretty good call. Good call.
Like he's a ring general, basically, just no nonsense wrestler, and he doesn't have like an overwhelming physique, but he's it's still imposing. So that's what I thought of Severn in that.
Well, after they obviously they split up, Severn just starts tossing Mosh all over the ring, and there's a spot where Mosh is kind of guillotine on the rope, and Jim Cornette comes over and just kind of face palms him. And then Thrasher comes over and gets a shot in on Corny, and Mosh takes Severn back, takes his back here after that. And that seems to piss Severn off even more, to the point that Mosh starts sandbag. Like, you can see Dan Severn having to put legit effort into picking Mosh up here, and is throwing him with all of his might. And Severn locks in the armbar, and Thrasher and Mosh obviously taps, but Thrasher gets in the ring, and there was like a really tense moment between those two where it looked like they were legitimately being separated. And it kind of looked like Dan Severn felt like Mosh was taking some liberties, and Mosh kind of looked like Dan Severn may have been taking some liberties. This was a very physical match, and talk about selling all you want and all that. This kind of looked like two guys that were kind of having a pissing contest.
It did, but at the same time, it didn't look bad. And he's
not at all.
I was gonna agree with you, man. I think he was sandbagging Severn a lot there, but
100%.
I mean, Severn was gonna have him go no matter what. So
yeah, good luck.
so I mean, it actually was very entertaining. I agree with you. Blew me away that we enjoyed a Severn match in 2026 and Mosh.
yeah. Two guys that I did not have on my bingo card for being entertaining for all the wrong reasons. JR tells us that something has happened at the cemetery. And we cut to Kevin Kelly, who tells us the Undertaker has arrived, saw something, and left immediately. Keep that in mind. He said he left immediately, which makes even less sense because 2 seconds later, the Undertaker appears out of nowhere.
Pops out and scares the shit out of Kevin Kelly.
As Kevin Kelly is telling us before the Undertaker just left after letting out a blood-curdling scream. Taker pops out asking where Kane and Paul Bearer are. He throws Kelly into the fence and then storms off. And we go to break, come back to a very disheveled Kevin Kelly on the ground telling us that the Undertaker is on his way back to the arena.
That camera shot of him on the ground, man, I started like dying laughing. I was like, what is this?
Obviously a very confused man.
He's got the microphone in his head. It's like the Scared Witch Plot project. Like he just...
It was not good. Clearly what they were going for. Just
right.
Very crossed wires.
Right.
We get Bradshaw versus Goldust next, and this is literally a platform for two other storylines. Like we went from this really intriguing Bradshaw versus the NWA storyline to him being kind of thrusted where needed.
Yeah, and just wrestling.
Luna grabs the mic and says she's going to strip Sable down. Just promoting that match, and like the NWA stuff with Bradshaw being super stiff was really interesting for a little while, but like I don't know, man. It just looks really like he's supposed to be Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody-esque, but it doesn't really work post 1993. It just looks really unnecessary. And you can even hear it from the crowd here where it's just like super uncomfortable to watch.
It's very stiff. And I was really surprised with him being that way with Goldust because I feel like there's a lot of respect back there. I mean, maybe they just didn't give a shit and that's what they were going for, but I don't know. It's just I agree, just very unnecessary in a lot of spots.
And we use this to put in another storyline into play. Club Kamikaze comes out here and they jump Bradshaw and they leave him laying. So I just want to make sure that we're keeping score at home.
It's like Goldberg Travels.
We've buried the lightweights to the umpteenth degree to let them come out and beat down the toughest, like one of the toughest guys in the business. Okay. But listen, the crowd ate this up. Like they do the senton splash and run through the crowd, and people are really intrigued by this stable. I think that's really cool. But you know what else people are really interested in? Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he arrives to address Dude Love and Vince McMahon as the war zone starts. Austin comes out and says that he came out to ask who his opponent was last week, and Vince McMahon had lied to him. And says that Vince has known for a while who his opponent was going to be, which doesn't bother him because Vince McMahon has lied to him in the past. He says that Dude Love coming out and attacking him was a planned conspiracy all along by McMahon and Dude Love. And we kind of learned that that's something going forward. But I feel like they should have leaned into that more than they did for this episode.
Yeah, and I don't know why they didn't. I mean, especially with not having too much time built into this match going into Unforgiven, but it is what it is. But Austin, Austin promos are awesome anyways, but when he's pissed off, like it just the extra level of entertainment factor, and it shows when he's done with his promo here.
Yeah, he says that Dude Love can kick his ass when his hands tied behind his back, but Stone Cold Steve Austin will pick his ass up and beat Dude Love's sorry ass, and the crowd pops huge. And Steve clearly wasn't expecting it. He just kind of gets lost in his words and starts smiling. He clearly respects their response to him. And he says he's not waiting until Unforgiven. That's too far away. He promises the crowd before the night is over that he's going to get his hands on Dude Love and Vince McMahon. Stone Cold has some ass to kick tonight, and that's the bottom line. Austin goes and shoves a fan, threatens the timekeeper, the ring announcers, etc. He gives the double bird salute and gets blurred out here again. He almost throws the cameraman off the stage here, too. Like, we were just going all in on the Rattlesnake being unhinged and looking for some comeuppance.
Do you think they like in the production meetings before the show? They just like if you're around ringside with Steve's out there,
Be wary.
Yeah, we don't know what he's gonna do.
Yeah, listen. I hope not. I hope this is all organic because it came across that way.
Oh, absolutely.
We are
almost falling back in his chair.
Yeah, I think OTC needed some fresh pair of underwear after that.
Right.
We get we get Terry Funk and Too Cold Scorpio versus the new Midnight here. So
the Funks.
A look at the future Job Squad in full form here. Dan Severn and Jim Cornette come back out and join the commentary. And this is literally just filler to get us the Kane and Undertaker spot because Kane and Paul Bearer are arriving in a hearse before Too Cold Scorpio and Terry Funk come out. But listen, I think in revisionist history, they missed the boat big time with Too Cold Scorpio. I mean, he was fantastic here. The dive to the outside, the rolling front kick, got some really good stuff in. Scorpio hits the 450 splash and gets the win. But then they let Dan Severn get in the ring and just destroy Too Cold Scorpio until Terry Funk grabs a chair and runs off the heels. I thought they should have showcased Scorpio more, man. Like, I don't remember. Like, obviously, I watched him in ECW.
Yeah.
I don't remember him being this good, man. He was fantastic.
That's it. He was getting over big in ECW, and that's why there was those deals that Vince and Paul had there for a bit, and that's why they got Too Cold Scorpio, or as he would become, Flash Funk, over there. And but yeah, it feels like Vince just doesn't know how to book for anybody that's not a bodybuilder or have some kind of like, I don't know, crazy like mental deficiency.
Michael Cole tells us, or excuse me, we cut to Michael Cole, who's going to interview Sable, and she comes out, and Michael Cole tells us that the evening gown match is about humiliation. Sable says she's not ashamed of her body, and she doesn't care if she gets stripped naked, as long as she can get her hands on Luna. And next to Stone Cold Steve Austin, that was the second biggest reaction of the night. People like boobs.
Yep, especially in the 90s, man. Like that's Jerry Springer, all that kind of stuff. The TNA, man, like, and not the total nonstop action.
The Sable wraps up her promo, and then we see backstage Paul Bearer and Kane are taking a casket out of the back of a hearse, and there's another casket in the hearse. Paul's all covered in dirt. His white shirt is pulled out. He looks very disheveled. And Paul Bearer tells us that Mommy and Daddy are inside. So it's insinuated that Paul Bearer and Kane have dug up the Undertaker and Kane's parents, and they are in these boxes. And then we get a commercial break. And that's like somehow we're going to leave that as the cliffhanger because we get LOD versus DX next. Yeah. And obviously Owen Hart is with them. And it'll be the Outlaws and Hunter versus LOD and Owen Hart. And this is just basically the cat and mouse game where Owen's trying to get Hunter in the ring the entire time. And there's some good spots in here, and it's pretty physical. But it essentially ends up with Chyna bear hugging Sonny on the outside, which distracts the faces and allows X-Pac to run down and hit Animal with a crutch. And that gives the heels the win. So we're just making LOD and Owen Hart look bad every chance we get.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thought I had on this match was, I don't know what it was, but I was so bored up until the finish, and
it wasn't good.
And the finish was, I mean, I don't know, and I don't like. Come on, like they couldn't have even had Chyna like show like how crazy like badass she is and do some kind of move to Sonny that wasn't.
I was doing it. She just picks up and bear hugs her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but, it was what it was, and
clearly a filler match for the Legion of Doom and DX. Like,
get DX more over.
So much more here.
Yeah,
we come back from commercial break, and Paul Bearer and Kane come out, and they leave the caskets on stage. And Paul tells us that the Undertaker couldn't attend the funeral because he was so ashamed for starting the house fire. He says that they brought the Undertaker's parents to Raw so he could say farewell to his parents. He laughs about how cheap and shitty the caskets are that he made for the Undertaker's parents.
And he can kick out of that.
Kane starts pouring gasoline on one of the caskets, and the Undertaker just appears at ringside for some reason. Like
he missed the entrance in the back.
Yeah, no explanation as to why. But Taker says that Paul will die 1,000 deaths if he goes through with this. They throw flames they throw a flame on the first casket and light it on fire. And that sends Undertaker into a frenzy. He charges at Kane, and Kane chokeslams the Undertaker into the other casket. And Paul Bearer tells the Undertaker he can rest in peace with his dead mama and laughs. Man, this is some pretty next level stuff.
Man, I don't remember this at all.
I don't either. I didn't either, man. This is like you just mentioned Jerry Springer, and obviously we're full fledged into the Attitude Era here, but like necrophilia, and I guess not necrophilia, but like digging up dead
That's
people
later on.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet. Shout out to Katie Vick.
Yeah.
But Taker comes to after being chokeslammed into a casket, looks horrified. And he looks like he's going to puke, and then we go to a commercial break. We come back, and Michael Cole tells us he just saw the Undertaker leaving, and the remains have been taken to an undisclosed location. I don't know why they wouldn't just go back to the cemetery that they were dug up from, but whatever. But he says he'll never forget the look on the Undertaker's face as long as he lives.
Oh, cheesy ass Cole, man! Like
I know, but this is so cringy. Do we need to do this?
I know, especially about an undead monster.
Yeah, is the disfigured burn guy not enough? I guess.
Right.
We get the main event next: is Steve Blackman versus Dude Love, and I guess something had to follow that. This is a huge rise for Steve Blackman, though. I mean, he's only been on the roster for about 6 months. Now he's main eventing Raw against Mick Foley, and he's getting a pretty big reaction. I mean, he's doing his martial arts routine before with the glow sticks, and this was clearly not about either one of these guys. But I felt like they took huge advantage. This was a really good match until it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, it was just starting to pick up, and then they pulled the rug out underneath it, and
yeah,
I don't know if they thought that Steve wasn't worthy enough to go on a prolong.
Kind of felt like they picked a name out of a hat. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, that's very like Shamrock. He missed his fight, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, he was there. Remember, he was backstage.
That's right.
But did nothing in the show other than that one backstage spot. It gets a little bit clunky, and it's pretty obvious why. Vince McMahon is down on commentary. And Vince tells us that something catastrophic will happen at the pay-per-view, and he will be at ringside for the main event, and that Earl Hebner is going to be the official for Dude Love versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Obviously, Earl Hebner was the official for the Montreal Screwjob. Vince is kind of alluding to that. And then Dude Love puts Steve Blackman in an abdominal stretch, and the bell sounds. Steve Blackman clearly didn't give up, and he goes to the outside and throws the timekeeper in a judo throw. It's a rough night to be around ringside, folks.
Yes.
And as Vince McMahon is attending to the timekeeper, Stone Cold Steve Austin shows up out of nowhere and just starts beating the absolute hell out of Vince McMahon. Like, the one thing you got to say about Steve, man, anytime, it didn't matter who it was, who he was working with, extras, the owners of the company, or a trained professional, he laid his shit in.
You were all the same to him.
Yeah.
He barrels through Mick in like just one fluid motion and is already on the ground. So what Steve Blackman did to the timekeeper does the same to Vince McMahon, throws him back down.
Absolutely. And we talked about the Stooges and how great they were last week, and they're out to help Vince here kind of get away as much as he can because Dude Love comes in and makes the save, but Austin gets the upper hand on Dude, gives the stunner to the Stooges, to both of them, and Vince makes a run for it. Austin stuns both of the Stooges, and then Dude Love gets to him before Austin can get back to Vince. So we're still leaving Vince versus Steve, and you got to tune in week after week if you want to see Austin get his hands on the boss.
Yes, and it's very planned out and methodical, and I love the way they're doing it because you're getting a sample of it every little week. So I mean, the breadcrumbs is what's leading everyone to the dance. So it wasn't the best episode of Raw ever, but it did what it needed to do.
Well, and I'm glad you pointed that out because for the third straight week in a row, Nitro's beaten Raw since the end of the 83 weeks. But Raw has stayed steady at a 4.4. Now, Nitro does a 5.1 tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Their main event is Randy Savage versus Hulk Hogan. So it's kind of understandable in a night where Steve Blackman, a really unknown commodity, versus Dude Love is the main event. But I was really surprised it didn't do better since this was a go-home show before the very first title defense of Stone Cold Steve Austin.
That's true, and I'm glad you brought up the go home show because since we've been doing this, their go home shows just have not been strong.
Not even for WrestleMania.
No, I think the best one they've done was maybe the Rumble, but that wasn't even that great either.
Well, let's grade it, Mike. How'd you grade this episode of Raw?
I was actually gonna go a little bit lower, but with so much unintended comedy, I went with C+.
That's what I gave it to, man. I went with C+ also, just because it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. That's for sure.
And I will say I did like belly laugh quite a bit during the show. So I mean,
Paul Bear was money, man. Like he was the like I don't think my descriptions did him justice, because he was absolutely hilarious for all the wrong reasons. Like I keep saying that. But there was no Val Venus vignette this week, which I thought was interesting. And we're a couple of weeks away from a couple big time tag teams debuting.
mhm.
And for some odd reason, I thought the Edge and Christian vignette started sooner, but I could be wrong.
Well, I thought Edge came in by himself, and then Christian showed up later after he came with Gangrel. I can't remember, but maybe they were together. I really am excited going back and watching these, because like this is the time that I did actually start watching, and like
this year's about to be so fun, man. We get Edge and Christian, the Hardys, we get the debut of the Dudleys.
Yeah.
We just mentioned Val Venus, the Godfather becomes the Godfather. Like The Rock is on the rise. We get the formation of the corporation. I'm so excited to get to next year's WrestleMania, man. It's gonna be fun to get there
for sure.
But the Royal Rumble specifically. This is leading up to the No Chance in Hell Royal Rumble. This is going to be great. So don't forget to like and subscribe to Analyzing Attitude. We are still going to give away a free PlayStation 5 as soon as we get to 1,000 subscribers. Mike Sweeney may eventually shave his head. We'll see if that happens. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. This has been Analyzing Attitude. We'll see you next time around.